guys? It's Phil the MMA Dude back with the Split Decision Podcast, episode number 108, here with my always brilliant co-host, the Fight Geek. Fight Geek, how you doing tonight, man?
Doing excellent, man. Happy to be back talking fights with you. How you doing?
Doing well. So, folks, we've got a lot to discuss tonight. First, it's going to be my opening question for Fight Geek. Then, a quick recap and review of UFC Fight Night Dillashaw versus Sandhagen. After that, it's a preview and picks of UFC Fight Night Hall versus Strickland. And then, preview and picks for Bellator 263, Pitbull versus McKee, then my favorite section of all listener questions. But Fight Geek, let me start off the episode with this question for you. So we saw Corey Sandhagen and TJ Dillashaw fight to an arguable Fight of the Year contender. Anyways, TJ ended up winning a split decision after 5 rounds. My question for you is simple. How did you score that controversial fight?
Yeah, definitely a Fight of the Year contender. I thought it was an unbelievable fight. Edge of my seat the whole fight. Super dramatic. And yes, I saw it 48-47 for TJ Dillashaw. You know, I think he did enough to eke out a victory under some incredible circumstances. I mean, the cut on his eye, the knee.
You did have him winning. Interesting.
Yes, I did. I think that, you know, as a mixed martial arts fight, he implemented more of the game. For instance, I think in the 4th round, I'm not saying I gave him the 4th round, but, you know, he was able in many different times, get Corey up against the cage and kind of stall him out. And while he wasn't necessarily able to get the takedowns, that was still time where Corey was not in his desired position, which was obviously a range where he had, you know, I would say some great success.
Because I gave Corey rounds 2, 4, and 5 for the record. I had him winning 2, 4, and 5.
Yeah, I think number 1 and 3 and 2 and 4 are pretty non-debatable. I'm not sure. At least 1, 2, and 3. I think those are in stone. There's not much debate there. I think 4 and 5 is where it can get kind of gray because clearly, you know, Corey is landing the more precise strikes and the more, you know, they seem to be the more impactful strikes. But as a whole, you know, TJ Dillashaw is implementing his game plan better. He's moving forward.
Okay.
You know,
so real quick, you give TJ the fight. I'm just curious because there was a big argument I saw on Twitter. Not to cut you off, but there's a big argument. I thought Corey overall was moving backwards. He was not controlling the octagon like he should.
100%.
But he was landing. But he was landing the significant strikes. So is it about cage control or about damage? Because I thought it was about damage.
Well, it's not about damage. That's where a lot of you are very misinformed.
No, it says damage first
I know, but it's not. You don't score a fight cumulatively based on damage. It's a round-by-round scoring system. So the only round in which Corey would have actually scored for the majority of that damage is the round he opened up the cut on the eye. Otherwise, I'm not sure that you can say that he was inflicting significant damage because TJ Dillashaw was unthwarted in the fact that he moved forward, implemented his game plan, made the adjustments, and I know a lot of people are giving TJ a hard time because he was 2 for 19 on the takedown attempts, but during all of that time, he was keeping the fight in an advantageous position for him not to be on the other end of those Corey Sandhagen strikes. So you have to award TJ credit for dominating that position in almost every round for portions of it, because what he was doing was taking away the sole form of attack that Corey Sandhagen had in that fight, which was the straight, range punches.
I'm fine with that. Okay, so
I mean, if TJ controls 40% of the round with Corey unable to do anything offensively, I think that's something that many people overlook because, he only got 2 for 19 takedowns. And we can get into the finite details. With the hurt knee like that, TJ wasn't even capable of taking him down. So the fact that TJ
All right. Yeah, you love TJ
you don't want to get me
Dillashaw.
going, I think that was a legendary championship type performance from TJ Dillashaw.
It was. No, it was. It absolutely was.
2 years off, and he answered every single question. Every single question.
So, Peter Yan has said St. Petersburg, Russia, 2022, him versus Dillashaw.
That just made my nipples harder than TJ's.
Yeah, exactly. I know some people are saying. Aljamain Sterling's the champion. Okay, just quiet, quiet, guys. Come on. We're talking about real stuff.
Here's all I'll say. Aljamain Sterling looked for a way out of his fight. TJ Dillashaw just searched for a way into his fight.
That's actually a good way to put it.
TJ
and I don't even like TJ, but that's a good way to put it.
Had a blown out knee, came in with injuries, was giving up 6 inches of reach, six years of, he's 6 years older, been out. I mean, he was not the TJ of old. He clearly was a little, he didn't have as much head movement. He wasn't as, he said he had injuries, so maybe that was it. But the fact that he was able to win round one, get injured, have an injured knee with that bad of an eye, and still find a way to last to the end of that fight. Conor McGregor wouldn't have lasted 45 seconds with that kind of adversity.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. I think that's true. Okay, so just moving on. Macy Barber defeats Miranda Maverick via split decision. I thought this was a crazy call. I mean, truly
I'd be
crazy.
willing to say that I think that's the worst decision in MMA history.
Wow. Okay, you know what? I don't even I don't disagree. I mean...
And I'm not saying it wasn't on a championship level and it wasn't for high stakes, but just... I don't know how anyone with any context of the sports of mixed martial arts could watch those 3 rounds and come to the conclusion that Macy Barber won. And I'm a Macy Barber fan, but she did not win.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think we were both kind of rooting for Macy Barber, and she won the 3rd round, and that is it.
She had some moments, but
she has no head movement. She's filled to the brim with problems.
Her problem is that she's such a slow starter, and for whatever reason now she seems tentative to engage when her real selling point was her aggressiveness, and she's gone kind of a 180 on that, and now she comes in the first round and really punches at air and doesn't really get off any offense, which I find really baffling considering she was like charging in head first for finishes before.
Yeah,
very
absolutely.
Strange. The other thing that I found strange is she's now training with Team Alpha Male. I mean, she's a striker. She didn't seem to implement any sort of wrestling or grappling, which generally seems to be the specialty of Team Alpha Male. Just not sure if that's going to be, a great stylistic fit for her moving forward. Didn't see many wrinkles. Thought she looked rather flat. Baffling.
Yeah, definitely agree. Okay. Moving on to, this is the fight. To me, this was fight of the night by far, and this fight got me so excited, not just for the winner, but honestly for both men. Adrian Yanez defeats Randy Costa via 2nd round TKO via punches. 2:11 of round number 2. What a fight.
Unbelievable 7 minutes of action. And I mean, Costa, for the first...
Costa looked great.
4 minutes of that fight looked like a world champion. He looked like he could not be dealt with on the feet early on in that fight. It was really, uber impressive to see Yanez hang on, take, weather a huge storm, come back. And, I found it interesting. It felt like Costa really fell off a cliff in that 2nd round. I was surprised, after that first round of dominance by him, how quickly the tide changed. So, lots of storylines in that fight. I think both guys are going to be around for a very long time, but it was very eye-opening to see kind of the polar opposites of one guy start very, very slow and have, the will to finish, and one guy start very, very fast and, seem to kind of just fall off a cliff, like I said. So
wait, was it Costa just gassing out, or was it, Adrian Yanez
falling off a cliff?
But did Randy bring out the dog in Yanez? You know what I mean?
Well, I think Yanez is a dog regardless, but when you're looking at the fight experience, Yanez has 16 pro fights and Randy Costa had 7. So I think right there, you could see maybe some inexperience on Costa going a little too fast and furious in the first. He had opportunities. It seemed like he would have opportunities to finish that fight. So maybe he was just, his adrenaline was pumping and he gassed out. I don't know, but I think his inexperience showed there, and Yanez's experience shone through there. He's a guy who has been in some rough fights before and weathered the storm, and he did the same thing here.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you have any thoughts for, who you'd like to see Adrian fight next?
How about Hakeem Dawodu?
Okay. I don't dislike that. I'm surprised that he didn't get, I guess I'm surprised he wasn't fed the 15 seed after that, but maybe I shouldn't be. Adrian Yanez.
So who's 15 though?
Cody Stamen.
Oh, see, that seems like a tough fight for Yanez. That'd be a big jump, in my opinion.
Yeah. 14 is Marlon Cheeto Vera.
I'm not. Sorry, go ahead.
14's Marlon Cheeto Vera. That feels tough too.
Yanez does not deserve a ranked opponent after beating 6-1 Randy Costa. So he needs to get someone in the 16 to 25 range. I think someone like Hakeem Dawodu is perfect.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, honestly, I don't really disagree that much.
He doesn't deserve a guy like Cheeto Vera. That's absurd.
Okay. Anything else that we wanted to call out on this card, or are we ready to move on?
Are you in a hurry?
You got something you wanted to talk about there?
I can't remember off the top of my head, but
okay, let's keep it moving then.
All
right. Moving on to our preview and picks for UFC Fight Night, Hall versus Strickland. So let's start off with the final card of the prelims, and that is Nico Montano, who is somehow only 4-3. Feels like she's been around since 2012. She's only got 7 fights. Versus Yanan Wu. Who you got?
You really want to break this one down, huh? Is this just so you have an opportunity to pick against Nico?
No, because I'm actually thinking of picking Nico. In fact, I am picking Nico by decision.
I'm picking Nico, too. I just am dumbfounded as why you picked this fight first.
All right, just chill out.
Are you looking forward to this one or what?
Okay, moving on. Brian Barberina versus Jason Witt.
All right. See, now we're having a little more fun. The return of Brian Barberina should be fun. He's super gritty. I'm taking Brian Barberina here in a war.
How you got by what? Stoppage? Decision?
Goodness, you're just asking
you gotta
so
choose,
much,
man. Come on, you know how this show works.
Lose via TK, or he's gonna win via TKO versus Jason Witt.
And I got
second round TKO. Actually, third round TKO.
I got Jason Witt by second round TKO.
Excellent.
All right, Ryan Benoit versus Zaruk Adeshev.
You know what I hate? Breaking down 3-3 fighters.
Yeah, Zaruk Adeshev is 3-3. I don't know why.
You can hear my excitement about this card. Can we just cover the main event? That's the only fight that seems...
Everyone wants to hear about Kung Ho Kang versus Ronnie Yaya. No, I'm just kidding. Okay.
Ronnie Yaya via submission.
I agree. All right, Uriah Hall versus Sean Strickland. I'm gonna go ahead and start this off. I like Uriah Hall a lot more than Sean Strickland. Not a big Sean Strickland fan. He kind of strikes me as a tool. Unfortunately, I do have Sean Strickland winning a unanimous decision. I do hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, it's kind of hard. It should be a good fight. Should be back and forth. Both guys are good strikers. I'm actually going to take Uriah Hall here. I think he's been in there.
Really? Okay.
Level of competition, and Uriah Hall is still, very, very, very explosive in certain spurts. So even when we've seen him in trouble versus guys like we knocked out Bevon Lewis, I remember he was in bad trouble. He was still able to land some power. He's beat some guys recently like Antonio Carlos Jr. So, yeah, I think that Uriah Hall has the experience to grit through this, and I think he actually will get his hands on Sean Strickland. I think he's much more of a fast twitch, athletic striker, and I think he'll get a KO.
Okay, all right. Okay, so we're ready to move on to Bellator 263.
Yes, feels like you're rushing me tonight.
I'm absolutely rushing you. Your mic is totally incomprehensible, and the viewers are going to kill us.
All right, well, in that case.
Okay, so moving that along very quickly. Patricio Pitbull versus AJ McKee. AJ McKee 17-0 versus Pitbull 32-4.
Yeah, I mean, talk about a super fight in Bellator. Is this the biggest fight in Bellator history? I know we say that occasionally.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, a lot of those have failed to live up, but I think this one will.
And I think this one is for the simple fact that this is Bellator's homegrown greatest fighter of all time, Patricio Pitbull, and then it's their greatest homegrown prospect of all time in AJ McKee. So this is the truly best Bellator has to offer standing on their own, which is very impressive. With that
absolutely.
said, I'm a huge Pitbull fan. When you talk about guys who are just fighters, true fighters, it's Pitbull. And I think he has the power to knock you out. I think he has the ability to submit you, but I also think he has a real confidence. Not to say AJ McKee doesn't, and I know AJ McKee has a reach advantage and has all different tools as well, but I just think this will be AJ McKee's first look at someone on the level of Pitbull. I know he fought Caldwell, but I don't rate Caldwell the way I rate, Pitbull, the champ, in his absolute apex prime right now. So with that being said, Pitbull via 4th round TKO.
All right, I like it. I got Pitbull via 2nd round knockout.
Wow. I mean, AJ McKee is very good, and he's rangy, and he's defensive, so he obviously is very live here. But, yeah, I could not be more impressed with Pitbull. I'm just a huge fan. Love his demeanor. Love that he can finish fights in multiple ways, and that dude is just bad. So it's going to be hard to pick against him until I see somebody dismantle him at this point. 32-4.
Yeah. Soon to be perhaps 33-4.
Yeah, and the only reason that strikes a bell to me is because I remember at one time Anderson Silva was 32-4 and then 33-4, and that is a truly elite mixed martial arts record. I know not every, if you're not Khabib, everyone thinks you suck, but if you're 32-4, that's fight. A legendary record.
Yeah, we agree. Absolutely. Okay, so do we have anything else on this card we wanted to cover?
Not in particular. Do you have anything?
No, I think we're good. Okay, so guys, we're going to be right back after this short break with listener questions and more. Hey guys, it's Phil the MMA Dude letting you know that this episode of the Split Decision Podcast is brought to you by TotalAggressionClothing.com. Visit www.TotalAggressionClothing.com and use the promo code 46210 to receive a special Split Podcast discount on all Total Aggression hats, shirts, hoodies, and more. Again, that's www.TotalAggressionClothing.com with promo code 46210. Hey guys, it's Phil the MMA Dude back with the Split Decision Podcast, episode number 108, here with my always brilliant co-host, the Fight Geek, and we are now here for my favorite section of all, and that is listener questions.
You didn't give him a warning, and you came in so soft, Phil. What's going on?
Because I'm not trying to blow their ears out anymore. I've gotten legitimate complaints.
Sorry to hear that.
I don't want anyone to have their hearing. Yeah. Okay, so this is from our main man, Zan Bando. That's at Zan Bando 99. He says, welcome back. I've got 2 questions. 1, should there be more than 3 judges implemented to score fights? And if so, what criteria do you think needs to be set to become qualified? 2nd question, UFC 267, according to reports, is free on ESPN/ESPN Plus on October 30th. Should the UFC do this more often? Hashtag AskSplitPod. Love it, Zan. Love it. Love the questions. Okay, so first of all, Fight Geek, do you think that there should be more than 3 judges implemented to score fights? Would that solve the problem of the...
I don't know if it'll solve the problem, but I would love 5 judges, and I would like 3 ringside, and I would like 2 additional judges that would be up in a press box watching it in a room alone on a huge big screen like all of us at home are. Because sometimes I feel like different perspectives could balance each other out. So yeah, I think maybe that, as far as the criteria goes, up until recently, the unified rules weren't even being used uniformly across the United States. So first and foremost, establish a unified modern rule set and then start finding, a way to educate judges in each individual athletic commission. So a lot of work to be done there. Not sure if Uncle Dana wants to invest that kind of time and effort into something, he doesn't necessarily oversee. But I do think adding 2 additional judges and then having them view the fight from a different perspective via television alone in the stadium could give, different scoring, and maybe uncover something that we're not hitting now. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I like that idea. I like it. I like that idea of three cage side and then 2 in a press box. I like it.
Yeah, so even if you had Adelaine Bird screwing up a card every time like she does, we could still have some, 2 of the television judges, both voted the same way. That would nullify a horrible live scoring judge. So,
right.
That way what we need to do is we don't necessarily need to change the judging criteria. We need to eliminate these one-off horrible scoring cards that throw everything at a loop,
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. So Zan's second question, UFC 267, according to reports, is going to be free on ESPN Plus.
Quick question, is that the Nick Diaz card?
No, I believe that's 266.
That'd be too good to be true. Okay.
Wait, now I'm getting a little...
They wouldn't give us Nick Diaz a 5-rounder, the third fight from the top that's a pay-per-view, guaranteed.
Yeah, no, that's definitely the third fight on a pay-per-view. Oh, yeah. Okay, so 267, the announced bouts are, Jan Blachowicz versus Glover, Aljamain versus Petr Yan, and then...
So to answer your question, the only reason they're doing that is because there's not a pay-per-view star on that card, and there's no way that they would probably even sell the $500,000 that ESPN guarantees them. So they may as well give it to us free since, 3 weeks earlier or whatever, a month earlier, all of us are going to buy that Diaz card.
Not to mention, 2 weeks after that is UFC 268 in New York City, which is already confirmed to be Usman versus Covington 2.
So what they're doing here is not many companies would probably do this, but they know they can't ask us to buy all 3 of those. They know it won't happen. So rather than just have a horrible, number to project for that pay-per-view, they'll just give it to us free and count it as a win.
Yep, I agree with that. I think that's very true. Okay, moving on to our good friend Paulo Kelly. That's at Sparks F1. Good friend of the show. He says, the scenario: you are sitting by a lake about to enjoy a picnic. You look out, and in the middle of the lake, you see Connor in trouble and about to drown. My question: which one of your sandwiches do you eat first? Oh, Paul. I love Paul. For those that don't...
What were my sandwich choices again?
I don't know. He didn't give them. But Paul is one of the greatest Super Mario Kart racers in the world. Did you know that?
I do know that. You've mentioned it a handful of times.
Well, I think it's pretty damn cool.
It is. It's awesome. But what do I do before I help Connor out? I definitely take another swig of my beer. And then,
doesn't the titanium rod float? No.
Depends on what Connor we're getting. If he's humbly asking for help, but if he's just barking out obscenities, we'll just watch him go down.
Yeah. Oh man. Oh, Connor.
I know, not to get sidetracked, but
yeah.
Man, does anybody miss more than Conor McGregor these days?
I don't think so, man. I don't think so.
You want to
Okay.
talk?
Wait, what was
Never
that?
mind. I mean, you want to talk about a guy who, had it all, into a guy who seems to have lost. I mean, obviously he's rich. Yeah, great, he's rich. He can't buy respect, and he's losing that in truckloads by the day.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Okay. This question comes from our man Eduardo. That's at Landa Crew. Eduardo, what up? He says, I like this. If you could make a movie about a real life MMA storyline, what storyline would you choose? Hashtag AskSplitPod. That's a fun one.
It is a fun one, and there's obvious answers like Nick Diaz. I mean, who wouldn't love to see a life story of Nick Diaz? The guy's incredibly interesting.
You know they're
Has
making.
layers.
A big budget Nick Newell film is coming out, right? From Lionsgate. Did you see
I
that?
did not know that, but that should be good. But I mean,
Notorious.
even
It's called Notorious Nick, and I'm not kidding. I saw the trailer. It looks pretty good.
right, yeah, for sure. I mean, well, for obvious reasons, that would be very interesting. But I think there's other storylines in MMA that I personally find very interesting. Like, for instance, I think a movie on Mayhem Miller's life would be unbelievably interesting and dramatic. Not only has he had his fair shares of ups and downs, but I think his talent in MMA is a little misunderstood. Guy had some very good moments, was a top welterweight in the world for a short period of time. And then one of the greatest entertainers that MMA has ever seen. His walkouts are absolutely legendary. So,
Okay, I've got two. Ready? I've got two, and they're tied.
Yeah.
Number one, Michael Bisping.
Well, yeah, but that's low-hanging fruit. That's a given.
No, but he can be like, no, and imagine the trailer. He's like, I can't see out of me eye. And then, like, his wife's like, just go for it, Michael.
Is this the Irish Michael Bisping?
I guess. I don't know. I can't do the voice well.
Okay, and then I'll throw out a couple more. I think Ken Shamrock's life story is
that's a good one.
pretty damn impressive and interesting. I think if that was done right.
What about Jan Blachowicz? Because he started off like 2-4.
Jan Blachowicz?
He started off like 2-4, and then imagine him being like, I can do this. I can do this.
I think Cyborg's story would be more interesting than Jan Blachowicz.
Cyborg, she's like dominated the whole time.
I know. Well, she was a woman in Strikeforce. She lost her first fight, turned into the greatest fighter of all time.
Except
Finally
for
got
Amanda
to UFC.
Nunes.
Her boss disrespected her. She lost the fight to Amanda Nunes. Then she went to Bellator, got the belt. She's a lifelong legend, but she's a good person and does all this nice stuff. I mean, makes a good story.
Yeah, okay.
So, I mean, other than that, another guy who popped into my head is Thiago Silva. Because of how his career went so downhill, I just thought maybe that might be an interesting story.
Yeah.
You remember
Francis Ngannou?
Yeah, I mean...
Because of like the background.
Well, of course. I mean, everybody loves like a redemption story or overcoming obstacle story. I'm trying to think of the more dark, interesting
I think Ngannou had a pretty dark life. He was like holding on to a truck for dear life, and they're like,
"No, I know,
if you
but
let
the redemption
go, you will
is
die."
full circle. Now he's making money. He's living his dream. He's a champion of the world. I mean, his story has come full circle. So yeah, I mean, the stories are endless in MMA. Maybe Rose Namajunas makes an interesting story.
Yeah, I agree with that one as well. I do agree with that. Okay, so we've got here's one more Twitter question. This comes from Jacob Powers. That's at Jacob Powers 2, main man, Split Podcast OG. He says hashtag #AskSplitPod. How do you guys see TJ doing against Sterling and/or Jan? I see him. I'll start off. I see him dominating Sterling and having a lot of trouble with Jan in a great fight.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure that I see TJ dominating anyone in the top 5 at this point because he's 35. You know, he's obviously not in his prime. So I think people that are expecting prime TJ against either of those guys are going to be disappointed. This is a new version of veteran TJ. And while his fight IQ is amazing. There's going to be things he's unable to do like before.
Yeah.
But with that said, I still think that, he makes better championship adjustments than Aljamain. I think he's shown a better fighting spirit than Aljamain, a better chin than Aljamain. So I would certainly like his chances in a decision victory over Aljamain Sterling. Maybe even get his hands on him enough to get a TKO. With Peter Yan, like you said, that's a much closer fight.
That'd be, man, I can't wait. I think it's going to happen. I can't wait for Dillashaw versus Yan. I can't wait for that fight.
TJ Dillashaw versus Peter Yan,
that's going to be such a great one.
The last 3 years, I've pretty much ad nauseum, been fans of those two fighters. So that, for me, is an amazing fight. But, I mean, Peter Yan is, what, off the top of my head, 7 years younger than TJ, 8 years younger than TJ?
At least. I think he's 27.
So that's a tough ask for TJ. But TJ has like I said, the championship adjustments, the fight IQ, and the style to at least stay alive. That's what I feel like he did versus Corey Sandhagen better than anything, is stay alive. Through all of his adversity, he never kind of shelled up or gave ground. He pushed through and stayed live in that fight till the end, which many, many fighters won't do. And for that reason, I do think he can present problems. But I think the youth of Peter Yan will come through, and I think he'd have a chance to win a unanimous decision, or maybe – I mean, it's so hard for me to see TJ getting stopped after last weekend. He ate 2 flying knees directly to the chin. I mean,
right.
He ate the same exact flying knee that almost killed Frankie Edgar.
It's true.
So it's hard for me to see TJ getting knocked out, because even in the Cody Garbrandt fight, TJ was rocked at the end of his first round and was able to recover from that and win. So as far as chins go, I mean, TJ's pretty solid at this point. But like I said, have to lean Yan, probably via decision.
Absolutely. And I would have to lean Yan via decision as well, 3 rounds to 2. But okay, with that, Fight Geek, I believe that is it. So go ahead and take us away.
All right, guys. As usual, you can find us on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, Google Play, Stitcher, and more. You can find me at Fight Geek MMA. He's at Phil the MMA Dude. We're at Split_podcast. It's 4 words, the Split Decision Podcast. Thanks for tuning in, and we will be back next week without the audio problems. Peace.